Well, the beauty finale is here, and I've gotta say, I'm quite disappointed in it. Not only did we not get any form of resolution whatsoever, but we spent a large portion of the final 2 episodes seeing the show's biggest flaw taking center stage, and that was being introduced to a character that we're never gonna see again. Something that this show did a number of times throughout its first season. The final 2 episodes of The Beauty were focused around the Fountain of Youth being rolled out into the public and the consequences of the lack of testing that had been done on it staring Byron directly in the face. So with that, let's dive into this episode, discuss the ending, and answer what could have happened to Cooper following the antidote being taken. So let's get into it. Here is The Beauty, episodes 10 and 11, ending explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. The focus on Bella. Episode 10 was a strange one because even though it picked up directly after we saw Cooper emerging as a child following being with Jordan, we actually spent most of it at a high school seeing the impact that the beauty was having on people from the younger generation where the way that they looked could often dictate their status and popularity. We were introduced to Bella, who was a girl that was just straight down the middle. Not popular, but not unpopular. Almost to the point where she felt invisible, so she had a hunger for the beauty so that she could finally stand out and be considered to be popular. Plus, her best friend Ruth getting it done made her want it even more. Personally, I felt it was quite interesting seeing the virality of the beauty following the procedure being announced to the public, and the fact that the younger generation were infatuated with it because it could quite literally transform their social life. But I did also find it a bit of a bold placement to have it there in the show this late on. To give so much screen time over the course of the 2 episodes, in fact the final 2 episodes, to a character that we'd never seen before, it just felt a little odd and out of place. The previous 2 episodes were all about building tension and setting the backdrop to the plan that was going to be happening in taking out Byron, so bringing Bella into the picture just kinda meant that it was pushed to the wayside. The whole black market element of it was something that I also thought was an interesting avenue to go down, and the consequence of Connor taking the double dosage was something that I thought was pretty funny and also tied into the grotesque nature that was originally at the heart of the show, but I just don't think it needed as much screen time as what it got. Bella literally turned into a monster. She had the worst side effect out of anybody that had received the beauty with the mutation that she ended up having. It showed that she chased perfection and she never actually got it. The piece of dialogue that she spoke when she was begging her mother to help her just really captured that feeling of regret that she had and that she wished that she could have just been who she was before. So it brought to light that before it wasn't all that bad, and it tied into the fact that there was more to life than simply just chasing perfection. It felt like the focus on Bella wasn't only shown to us to provide us the transition into Byron's office, where we saw that she was one of the many thousands of people that had side effects and was connected to the fact that Byron would eventually stop all distribution of the beauty. But it also showed us how this desire to be perfect is something that's ingrained within our society from when we're younger. If anything, the social status at school can be the be-all and end-all, and that's where the viewpoint of wanting to be perfect almost has the most meaning and effects. So it was an interesting insight, despite taking up way more screen time than what was needed. What happened to Cooper? During the ending of the finale, we saw that after Cooper was turned into the child, following him being intimate with Jordan, it turned out that he transformed that way because of the unstable and unpredictable nature of it being passed through that way, rather than through the needle. However, we saw that there was an antidote that was developed by Ray before he was killed by Byron, and it was said to be able to reverse the procedure so that when Cooper emerged from the rebirth status, he'd be back as he was before, looking like Evan Peters. However, during the climax, we didn't get to see what Cooper ended up emerging as. All we got was the reaction from Jordan, Jeremy, and Antonio. So I was a bit disappointed with that. I get it could be a cliffhanger, but it feels like a cliffhanger for a week's wait for the next episode, not a year's wait until the next season. I also don't feel like there's that much jeopardy to it either. Yeah, he might have returned as his true self, and if he didn't, then we saw that he was an adult, so it's just going to be a situation where he ends up looking like another beautiful human being. We did hear of other side effects and deformities and mutations, so maybe there could be something wrong with the way that he looks, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. The plan to take out Byron was something that they were all still planning on doing, and with Diana, the robotics lead, still heading it up, and with Tig, Byron's son, now also being the very person that's looking to take out his father because he doesn't want the empire to crumble and he wants to make as much money as possible from it, when his father now wants to shut the project down. It seems like the next season of the show is going to be continuing on from that and focusing back on the hunt. I do find it odd that Byron was so set on finding Cooper and dealing with him himself for the most part of this season, and then all of a sudden just not caring about it at all in the final 4 episodes. It feels like they just kind of forgot about it, so I wonder if that interest will peak again. Byron's change of heart. Byron's wife is a character that I actually quite liked in the show because she was almost like Cooper. She was content with how she looked, with the idea of aging, and the comparison to fine pieces of art and ornaments that got their beauty and their age was a great way of comparing it to life. She wasn't ashamed of her stretch marks or her imperfections because they were essentially scars that showed that she'd lived a life and she'd earned the age that she was at. It's always a privilege to get old because not everybody's lucky enough to get there, and she was somebody who believed in that. So when she said that she felt like a prisoner inside of a body that wasn't hers, it painted the true reality of what the beauty actually was. Hence why she tried to end things for herself following her sons giving it to her without her saying that she wanted it. Her doing that directly in front of Byron with something that she bought before she met him, which felt symbolic of the fact that she didn't want to be with him anymore. That was what triggered the slight change in heart from Byron, and we saw that he was doing all that he could to keep her alive. With there being a large percentage of people that were having side effects, lawsuits coming in left, right and centre, and the FDA looking on banning the beauty, Byron gained some compassion following her being in the comatose state and said how he'd continue giving out the boosters free of charge to those that had it done. And he also said that he wanted to shut down the operations. In my mind, this kind of felt like lazy writing. For the entirety of the season, we saw a man that didn't care about his wife or children in the slightest all of a sudden gain a heart and care about her when she was on death's door. I understand that he wanted her approval and she was never giving it, but he was cheating on her and talking to her like trash. So him now caring so much about her to the point where he literally said, the single most important thing in the world is her. I just thought it was such a contrast to everything that we'd come to learn about Byron over the course of the show. I was actually really disappointed in that. He killed a room full of billionaires, was killing innocent people, killed Ray, planned on killing Antonio, and also said how the beauty is all that he cared about. But now, all of a sudden, he has a heart and doesn't care about the very thing that he put so much time and effort into. It just felt a little bit odd for me. My review of the finale. Personally, I'm really disappointed in the finale. I just kind of feel like all of the momentum that had been building throughout the season was grinded to a halt in order to watch some high school drama unfold that nobody asked for or even really cared about. Don't get me wrong, I thought it was interesting watching those side effects play out on screen, but we didn't even get to see the true monstrosity that she became because the camera was so close up, so dark, and we couldn't really see it, so I wish we could have seen more. The show almost felt like it was made up of distractions. For example, we had the Progeria storyline with Mayor and his family. Then we never saw them again. We had Clara that we were introduced to and never saw again as well. And then in this one, there was Bella, who we'll never see again. I just feel like giving dedicated episodes to characters that don't actually have any true importance is a waste of time, and ultimately Cooper, Jordan, Jeremy and Antonio end up feeling the weight of that. I did find it a bit strange that we never ended up finding out why Byron ended up turning on Antonio and wanting him dead. He was his most trusted hitman and he hadn't done anything wrong, so the lack of answers to that is something that I just never truly understood. I'd like to say that the performances were really strong in the finale, but I just don't really think they were. We got barely any Antonio, Jeremy or Jordan, and we spent most of it with a brand new set of characters which were performed well, but I didn't really want to see them. Ashton Kutcher delivered his role well, but outside of that, I feel like it's a pretty forgettable finale. Now, I did like this show, but I think I preferred the early episodes for sure. It was a bit darker, there was a bit more horror and gore within it, and it just felt that bit more structured. By the end of the show, it was just a bit of a mess, and I feel like it lost all direction and purpose. It started by having something to say, a statement on the beauty industry and the standards, but it concluded with no message, no statement, and just ultimately feeling a little flat and underwhelming. So yeah, I am extremely disappointed. I saw somebody say online that they've been Ryan Murphy'd, and it does feel like that. You get dragged along thinking a show is going to be good, or for it to just end up being meh. And with Ryan Murphy, it happens time and time again. I do hope that the show comes back for a second season, but with the sheer amount of stuff that he's putting out at the moment, who knows when we'll get it. It's not going to be a show I'll remember that much, especially for the latter episodes, so I guess I'll just be keeping my eye out for a poster or trailer in the near future. Based on the earlier episodes, I feel like it could have been something special, but it just fell flat. Before I go, I also just want to say thanks for tuning into the breakdowns of The Beauty every single week. It's been great covering the show and then diving into the comments and seeing what everybody's got to say about it. So I just want to say thanks. So, there you have it, The Beauty episodes 10 and 11 ending explained. If you want to see every episode of The Beauty being broken down, then check the playlist below, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future videos. What did you think of the finale? Share your thoughts in the comments. As always, thanks for tuning into the video, and I'll see you in the next one.